More and more companies are requiring employees to return to the office, but this transition could be difficult for people who haven't done it in years. Companies are noticing employees seem more anxious, often struggling to interact and socialize with each other. A recent survey from resumebuilder.com shows that some are even having trouble making eye contact. And that's why some companies are using therapists to help people transition back into the office. Julie Bauke is here with me now live. She is the founder and chief career strategist at the Bauke Group. Julie, thank you so much for your time today. Let's go ahead and begin right here with why companies are bringing workers back to the office. What are your thoughts? Does this really have anything to do with better productivity or maybe mental health care, or is it more because they don't want to see their offices sitting empty?
That's a very complex question. And I believe where we're going to land when all of this gets sorted out, right now we're right in the middle of a transition from the workplace of old to the new workplace. And it hasn't been sorted out yet. But we're seeing indications that where we're going to land is some sort of a hybrid as the new normal. So we will not land, everybody's at home, nor will we ever get to the point where everybody comes back to the office. Instead, it's going to be some sort of hybrid. And the uncertainty around that is certainly why a lot of people are anxious. People develop their own routines that worked well for work as well as non-work part of life. And they're anxious about giving all that up and stepping into what feels right now like the great unknown.
All right, so companies are bringing workers back to the office and they actually want to help with the transition. So what do you make of this? What do you make of having counselors on site? Is it helpful and is it the appropriate setting for something like this?
We most companies have an employee assistance program available to their people, but that's typically been off-site. It's been phone calls, Zoom. But companies have a history of providing people with help for their challenges. And companies are saying, okay, so this is a challenge we didn't anticipate. How can we get people comfortable with coming back in? So we're going to provide those resources on site, but they're probably providing them virtually as well, because they recognize that getting people back in the office comfortably is not, they can't just put that on people and say, get over it, get back here, because that will backfire spectacularly. People will quit. And so they realize that in order to get what they want, which is people in the office at least part-time, being highly productive and wanting to be there and wanting to stay, they're going to have to provide some tools and resources to make that happen. And this is just one of the tools and resources they're providing.
All right, so what are you seeing? What kind of coaching could counselors have on site to help employees rebuild these skills needed to interact with their coworkers and to ease some of that anxiety?
So for the last 3 years, most of us have been working from home. And so we haven't had to interact. So our soft skills have gotten rusty. And you have to remember that the youngest people in the workplace have never really had the opportunity to develop those skills at work. And so my anxiety or someone's anxiety might be around, how do I interact most effectively with my new boss, with my coworkers? How do I listen, develop empathy? How do I navigate this new workplace? It could be something like that. But it could also be things like I'm trying to figure out how to serve all parts of my life equally. I'm trying to be effective at work, but I'm also having childcare issues. I'm also having issues at home with this routine that I set up that's been working. And so their issues might be, how do I straddle those two things and stay effective in both places? And so it's generally going to be those sort of things. What does this uncertainty in this new world of work, what does that mean for me and the life I have and the life I want? And how do I navigate that? That's my guess. Those will be the most common conversations.
Yeah, and there are so many different pieces to this. It's definitely multi-layered when you look at a person's work-life balance and whether or not they're able to handle things like childcare, coming back to the office, interacting with their coworkers, and so on and so forth. So, if you've gotten the notice that you're coming back, what are some of the things that you can do right now in order to combat those feelings of anxiety? Is there anything you could be doing at home in order to prepare for this transition?
The first thing you want to do is get very clear on what's being asked of you. A lot of organizations are saying we want people back 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Maybe they're saying 5 days a week. So figure out, what does that mean for you? I believe there's always room for negotiation and discussion with your boss. If you look at it and say, okay, I have childcare 2 days a week, but they're asking me to come back 3 days a week. That's my primary challenge. The first thing you want to do is identify what's the big hairy problem that you individually have. Then you say, okay, so what are my suggested solutions to this? What would solve it for me? So I always say, start from where you are and what the gap is between where you are and what you're being asked to do. Then initiate a conversation with your boss and come with some solutions in mind. Don't just come in and say, I need you to fix this. I can't come in 3 days a week. You want to always present it as a business case. How can we both get what we want? And so start with, what is it that's really causing you anxiety? What are your possible solutions? And how might your company help you with that? You might come to the conclusion that there is no middle ground and you need to leave and find another job. That's a possible outcome. But if you actually try to come up with some solutions and collaborate with your organization on what are the things that really are giving you anxiety, give them a chance to fix it with you, because chances are they don't want to lose you, because the unemployment rate's still at 3.5%. And so it's very hard to replace people. And so go to it as, this is a problem. Let's work together to find a solution. And if you approach it like that, then you won't necessarily spin in anxiety and start awfulizing everything and saying, my world's going to come to an end. It isn't. So, but you've got to step back and look at it as, this is a problem. Let's try to solve it together before I decide that it's unsolvable and go someplace else. So you want to identify the problem first.
Oh, so much great advice. So many good tips in there. Julie Bauke with the Bauke Group, thank you so much for stopping by today. Always appreciate it.